Opening a restaurant and keeping it open is a common dream for chefs and foodies, but with so much competition and not to mention hurdles you have to overcome to open a brick and mortar, it can feel unattainable for some, especially a busy mother. So who better for us to talk to today than a mother of 5 who opened her restaurant in the middle of the pandemic and has carved out a niche as a plant-based staple in her area. Ejama McNeil, owner of the Hue Cafe and Apothecary in Owings Mills, Maryland, is here to break it all down for us. Black Mom Founder Chat. I'm Shernay Williams, a journalist turned entrepreneur and the founder of the Black Mompreneur. And we have Ejama, or Mama Hue, as you are affectionately called. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. You have a lot to share. And let's just start with the fact that you did something remarkable, right? I mean, you opened up a restaurant in the summer of 2021. That is when the pandemic was still running rampant. So many Black restaurants shuttered their doors for good, but you were able to open. So first of all, congratulations for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, and you're still thriving. And I understand, though, that your story of opening this plant-based restaurant, it actually starts years prior. So can you just tell us how your journey began?
So the journey began, honestly, in 2016. I lost my mother to a heart disease, and I was also her caregiver for the last 4 years of her life. So like the last 5 to 6 years of her life, I took her from all her doctor's appointments and visits and things like that. And I'll never forget, a doctor said to me, he looked at me, he said, "Do you know that you're going to inherit some of the stuff that she has?" And at that time, I was much bigger. I think I was around 270 pounds. Of course, I had just had children, so I had 4 children at that time. And he said, "You know that one day you will potentially, inherit these diseases." And it felt like an insult. It felt like a blow. And it felt like a reason where I had to prove him wrong. But when she transitioned in 2016, I didn't start this health journey until 2018. In 2018, right around this time for Lent, I decided to give up meat. And it was like the best results I had ever seen in my life. And from that, it just went down into a rabbit hole, and I wanted to know more about, how can I prevent disease? So that's kind of what kicked it off. It was really just figuring out what can work for me, where I can live a long time without having to go into the hospital at all, and not have to, take my children through that phase of grief. If I could prevent it, that was my goal. My husband, had lost his dad to health problems, and it was just wanted to be around to see, our kids and our grandkids. So I took that, consideration of this is not maybe always for the right now, but we're preventing disease for the future. It basically opened my eyes to understanding the food industry and understanding what it looked like and how we had the power in our hands to prevent disease. So that was, pretty much the goal. And from that is where I also got a lot of my power. I felt like that was something powerful. Like it was something to be able to heal yourself.
So I know that must have been so challenging for you. Of course, losing your mother and then basically getting a pre-diagnosis that could be you. And so then you said that you were able to then change your lifestyle.
Yes.
Okay. And so you swapped out the processed foods.
Pretty much, I did. I gave up all the meat. I gave up, turkey. It was around Lent, and I never thought like it would last that long. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try it for 40 days. Let's just get into something different. And I did it, and it became a forever thing. And like when it came to my children, it was the same thing. Where I didn't grow up with processed foods. I didn't grow up with eating out of a box or eating out of a can. So I never really cooked that way for my children, but I did cook really fattening, delicious, butter, blubber,
some
cheese,
soul food. Yeah.
And my mom, I used to call her the Black Pauline. So butter was the staple inside the house. It went on everything. So yeah, I would definitely say I had to swap out and put the fresh fruits and vegetables and swap out, the bad cereals with the good cereals and things like that.
And listen, you have 5 kids, so I can only imagine. Well, you had 4 at the time when you switched your diet, right? And so listen, I just have two, and just trying to eat healthier with them. They're fighting. They're like, "Oh, mommy, I'd rather not eat." We were talking about this off camera. So,
Yeah.
what was that like? How did they respond to this change in lifestyle?
Honestly, they did really, really well because
good.
we as almost a it was like a theme. We had something where we call it Meatless Monday. So on Mondays where we swapped out not having meat, so we would do a meatless dish. And normally I was doing back then a lot of beans. So we would do different types of beans. We'll do rice. Because I'm Nigerian American, we would throw in some plantains. Sweet potatoes. We were roasting kale. We made kale chips, and that's also a part of it. I kind of got them a part of the process where they had to sprinkle the kale chips on the cookie tray and put the oils and the seasoning. And then when it came out, it was like, oh, I made this, and they were more, intrigued to try it. So it wasn't that bad. It was actually fun.
That's good advice. Good advice to keep in mind. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where you and your husband decided, okay, we need to take this to the masses. We're on to something here.
Basically. Very much so. And it's so funny, even with that, I never asked my husband to join me on the health journey. He just, one day I cooked him a vegan meal. He took it to work. I was nervous and I was wondering if he's going to like it because my husband's a culinary extraordinaire. So when you cook for him, it has to be the best of the best. So I learned how to cook for him. So I'm like, let me just go ahead and jazz some food up. And I sent him in with some coconut rice and things. And he called me and he said, hey, I warmed my food up and the whole office is talking about how delicious it smells. I was like, so drum roll, how did it taste? He said, it was really good. Then I want to say probably a month later, he started doing something called intermittent fasting as well. And together we both were, holding each other accountable. We were eating really healthy. And together we lost over, I believe, 150 or 175 pounds together.
Oh, wow. That's impressive. And so you guys started with pop-ups, right? And then a food truck?
We did. During the pandemic, as you said, not knowing, what did the future hold? We didn't know. So we did a pop-up, and I'll never forget. It was at Walter Gardens in Baltimore City. And it was in our neighborhood. So we walked to this place all the time. We were really cool with the owners. And they were like, y'all should have a pop-up here. We were like, okay. And we just jumped out there. We did it. And I will never forget that day. I had anxiety. I felt like my knees were buckling because an hour into the pop-up, we had a huge rainstorm. So everything out there were wet, but there were people in line with umbrellas, and the line was stretched all the way down the street.
To get your food?
And just for the food.
Wow.
I was blown away. And that was our initiation to, hey, Baltimore, we're here. This is vegan food that you've never had before in a different experience. In a different way. It's flavorful, it's fresh. We cut everything from scratch. And Baltimore ate it up. They loved every bit about it. And they were like, what is the next one? Where are you going to be? And we're sitting there looking like, well, let's figure this thing out. And that's what we did. We started there as a pop-up. And then we did farmers markets consistently every Tuesday. And there were people calling the phone saying, where were you at? We only did pop-ups on Tuesday. They were calling, you outside today? Are you outside today? And I'm like, oh, wow, this is really a demanding thing. So it really lit a fire underneath the both of us that, this is a demand. We love what we do. We want to offer this to the masses. So that's when we pursued our brick and mortar space.
And that's wonderful. So you saw the need, right? There was a demand, and then you just kept growing consistently. And I know getting funding to start is always a hurdle, right? So even prior to getting a space to get a truck, you have to save up a nice chunk of change, and you have to invest in the ingredients and all of that. And so how were you guys able to navigate? Did you have like some money set aside or like?
With it being second generation, it came with a lot of the things that you would need to open a restaurant, as in what we call a hood system, which could be, if you go to a place that doesn't have one, could be potentially $40,000 easily. Install one. So the best part that this location came with the hood system and a few other things. So it was kind of a blessing, to be honest. It was aligned just for us. It was like, here you go. This is what y'all asked for. Y'all been working hard for it. Now, here is the reap. You get to reap what you sowed. You guys are out there. You're on the streets selling people tacos on the side of the road. You deserve this. Here's your baby. And that's kind of
Yes, everything was in alignment.
It was in alignment. Thank you. It was in alignment.
Okay. And the food is delicious. I went over there this weekend and it was amazing. But you're offering so much more than that, right? So you have the apothecary as a part of your brand as well. And so you have herbalists. You're a master herbalist. You have herbalists on staff to help people. So can you talk about that side of your business as well?
Yes, because I think a lot of people don't understand that the whole body, like we look at things from a holistic perspective, meaning that when someone comes in and you normally go to, a doctor, it's normally they're just treating that one element where they're just going to prescribe you. You say, I have a headache, you go, here's something for that. But when you're working with someone that looks at the whole body and holistic approach, we want to know, what is your daily activity like? What do you do every day? What do you drink? What do you eat? How do you normally wind down in the evenings? What do you notice when you eat certain foods? So the apothecary part is more so looking at it from a whole person and try to support you, through your mind, your body, and through your spirit. Plant medicine, we say, grows from the ground, and then we make it into a formulation.
And that's really a differentiator for you guys, because I don't know a lot of other restaurants, plant-based or not, that have that as well. And so do you think that's been a part of your success too? And is that like
Absolutely.
advice for people to kind of carve out a niche for yourself?
So a lot of what we talk about is preventative. This is all prevention. You don't have to get sick. So if there's things that grow in nature, why not take it so that you don't have to, sit inside the hospital? So pretty much it has definitely been a huge part of our success, because we started off as an apothecary first. Then we added a cafe.
Got it.
We started a small apothecary online business and did pop-up shops there at different expos and things like that. And then we grew into the cafe side.
And with the children, are they involved in the business? How have they responded to all of this growth?
I think they are participants, as in I would like to say they get to enjoy it because they get to see it. And they always ask, can they come into work? And we want to kind of teach them that work ethic. And I think the best way to do it is, number one, they get to see us do it. They get to see that we started from nothing and now we're growing, and we're constantly growing, and we're constantly sacrificing as well. But I want them to look at us and figure out that this can be obtainable as well.
Any advice and resources for moms or anyone really who, they're interested in opening up a restaurant? Any tips that you can share?
Yes, I think some people don't start businesses because they think too much about the business plan. And I think I love a business plan. I think it's a really, really good way to start. But when you're just trying to start small, start with goals. And I think you can take and just jot down short-term and long-term goals. Make a mission statement and maybe a few core values. Start off with something so small. And, start from there, and kind of also get out there and network with the people that's in your industry that, do what you want to do. Ask them the right questions. There's some that will mentor you for free. So I definitely would say get in those type of connections with the right people.
And how do you find those right people?
I would say social media is a really big way of connecting with people, even if you're hashtagging some of the same things that you do. So let's say if you're a florist, you can hashtag Baltimore Florist or DMV Florist, and find those are, businesses that align with what you are looking to do or grow into, and connecting with them, even if you come in and intern with them once a week, or asking them, hey, is anything I can take off your plate for free? I think that can also be something that you get to get that insight by just giving that hands-on support.
Smart advice. Thank you so much. Mama Hue, please we want to put your website, your social media handles at the bottom of the screen. Can you let us know what they are?
Yes, absolutely. You can find us on Instagram at Hue Cafe and Apothecary. Our website is also huecafeandapothecary.com. Our address here in Owings Mills is 10210 South Yeovil Road, and that is Owings Mills, Maryland, 21117. We offer catering. We also have a food truck, and you can always come inside and try some of our delicious teas. And we also do brunch on Saturdays. We're just in the community having a good time, so definitely come and join us.
And the food is good.
Thank you.
Yes, half the time, like the fried chicken, I'm like, it tastes like chicken, but really it's mushrooms or plants. It's really delicious. Thank you so much, Mama Hue, for sharing all those gems. Very helpful. And I hope it was helpful for you. So please let us know in the comments if you have more questions about opening a restaurant, on running a business with children. We're here to be a resource for you. Okay, that's the reason why we have this series. We want this to be an inspiration. We want to provide resources and the tools that you need to create the life that you want for you and your family. So let us know how we're doing. And until next time, I'm Shernay. See you on the next chat.